Hi, in this video we're going to see how to back up and restore a Vault Raft cluster running in Kubernetes. This is for Vault open source cluster. I'm your host Sam Gabriel, and let's get started. So this is part of a Vault 201 course that I have in my Tech and 8 Academy. And the first thing we want to do is launch an AWS account environment. So you can click Launch AWS Environment here under the bonus section for the AWS environment. This takes about 10 seconds and it will give you an account that you can run with. And we're going to use this for an S3 bucket that we're going to store our backup snapshots for Vault. So this is running. We have all the necessary credentials to access the AWS environment. We'll keep that for now. And in the repo here, you can start a code space in GitHub. So let's go ahead and create a code space on main. You can fork this repo and create a code space on that fork, or you can run the code space directly on my repo here. So this will generate an environment with Visual Studio Code that we're going to run with. It will automatically start Minikube for us, get things installed. It's going to get the Vault binary installed. It's going to get the AWS CLI installed, and we'll be all set to go. So you don't have to mess around in your own local environment on your own computer with the different dependencies. All the dependencies that we need with the right versions will be installed for us. It's a great solution by GitHub. You might have seen me talk about Gitpod before. Gitpod is also great. The only downside to it is that we can't really run Kubernetes on it. There is a workaround, but it takes a long time to get a Kubernetes environment set and run. So really, CodeSpace is an excellent choice whenever we need to run an environment with Kubernetes in it. So as you can see here, it is starting, and let me make the screen a bit bigger for us. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so that should be good. And you can see here Minikube is starting automatically, so this takes a few minutes to get it all set. And I'll take this opportunity as our environment is loading to explain to you what we're going to do in this demo. So first of all, we are going to run a script here that will get everything set up for us. This script is the Start Vault script, and if you want to see what it does really quickly, it's going to create a namespace called Vault. It will add the Helm repo for Vault from HashiCorp. Well, the whole HashiCorp repo. It has Helm charts for Vault, console, and so on. Helm install Vault. So this is the Helm command that will install Vault in the Vault namespace we just created. And we're going to set the image tag for Vault. It will be version 1.12.2. Server HA is enabled. Server HA Raft is enabled. Server HA replicas is 1. Since I'm running in one Kubernetes node, I'm just going to run with one Vault replica. And HashiCorp Vault is the name of the chart. We're going to sleep for 60 seconds to get this all installed. And then we're going to expose port 8200 in the background here. And this is the port that Vault runs on, of course. Then we're going to export our Vault address here. And we're going to initialize and unseal Vault. So it's going to run the Vault operator init command. We're going to run with one key share and one key threshold, and we'll store it in this file, temp vault keys JSON. Definitely make sure not to do this in production. We don't want to keep any kind of keys lying around. This is not the way to do it. This is a quick demo to show you how to get things started and get a Vault backup done and restored, right? So we're going to export a Vault token right here. And you can see this Vault token is grabbing the root token from that same file that we just saved. And it's going to run an operator unseal also by getting the unsealed keys from the same file. Then it's going to create a vault policy. This vault policy is called vault policy, which is right here. And this vault policy is pretty straightforward. What it does, it actually creates the capability of listing and reading secrets in the path, in the KV version 2 store secret path, AWS secrets, AWS creds S3. We are going to store the S3 credentials inside of Vault, and these are the credentials that will allow us to access the S3 bucket to store the Vault backup. And then we have another path here. This is the Raft Snapshot, allows us to take a snapshot from Vault. Okay, so these are the credentials that this is the policy that we're going to use. I see that this has completed. Vault is up and Minikube is up and running. You can quickly check by running kube ns. This will show you the different namespaces that we have here. So everything is good. kubectl get nodes. You can see that we have a Minikube node right here. So all is good. So now let's go ahead and run this script, and I'll continue to explain the rest of it as this script goes. So let's copy that. Let's paste it right here. This will go ahead and run the script. So let's go back and take a look at the script once again. Vault script, start Vault script, this one. So we stopped here at the definition or the creation of the Vault policy. Now it's going to create or enable the Kubernetes authentication method. So you can see here we are grabbing some information from the Vault pod. So the token reviewer, JOT, the Kubernetes port 443 TCP address, all this is necessary to get the Kubernetes auth method configured. We're running also this command here, getting the cert, and finally we're going to write the auth Kubernetes config right here. So you can see that is the command that gets the auth Kubernetes auth configured, and then we're removing the certs that we just used. And finally, we're creating a role, and in this role, we are specifying the namespace is Vault. The service account name is Vault, and the service account namespace is Vault. And also the Vault policy that we just defined up here, which is the Vault policy that allows whoever has the token the authorization to go in and make changes to Vault. So basically, what we want here is, again, to read the credentials, the S3 credentials for AWS, and also take a snapshot. So that is what's going to happen here. And finally, enable the KV version 2 store with this command right here at the path called secret. Now, if any of this seems a little bit overwhelming, I do have a Vault 101 course. I go into this in depth. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to that in the description. Once again, this is a bonus section to the Vault 201 course that talks about Vault in Kubernetes. I'll also put a link to this in the description for that course if you're interested as well. All right, now let's go ahead and look at our port that got forwarded over, port 8200, and open that to see our Vault instance here running. So that should connect us to Vault directly here on port 8200, and we want to sign in. So the token here, if you notice from our script, we can export that right here, and let's do that. So let's export this like that, and let's echo out. Let's make this maybe a little bit bigger. Let's clear and echo our Vault token. So this is it. So let's copy that. This is our root token. So again, in production, you're not to use root tokens, but just for now, we're taking a look here to see our secret KV version 2 store is available. No secrets yet. If you go to access, you can see our Kubernetes authentication method has been configured successfully. So we are in a very good spot here. The script ran well, and now let's go ahead and continue. So first of all, let's store the unsealed keys and also the root token in another file here. So this file is the keys.json file here, and this file, of course, should not be pushed to Git. So as you can see here, it's in our git ignore file, and so that is important right now because we are going to remember we're going to back up this cluster and then we're going to destroy it. So when we restore it from backup, we have to use the old unsealed key. That's why I'm saving it right here. Okay, so let's continue. Let's insert the AWS credentials into Vault. Now, in here, let's do that. So I'm going to go back into my README file, and just to make things easier for me, let's grab right here our environment variables. This is from the AWS environment here, so let's grab that and paste it right here. And now what we're going to do, we're going to export those into our terminal. We've already exported the Vault token, we'll do it again, and also the Vault address. So we are going to use our Vault client that is pre-installed in this code space to access Vault that is running inside of Kubernetes. And once we've done that, we're going to run Vault kv put, and we're going to mount the AWS keys inside our kv version 2 store. So let's go ahead and paste all of this right here. Allow that. Yes, go ahead. And it's successful. If you want to double check, we can always go back in here and go into our secret. Make this a bit bigger so we can see properly. AWS credentials, and they are right over here. So that's perfect. Now let's go back and see what's next. So now we need to apply the cron job. So basically we're going to run a cron job inside of Kubernetes. That cron job is going to run on a regular basis, and we'll go out and install or go out and take snapshots from the Vault cluster and push that over to Kubernetes. Over to S3 in AWS. Now, if you notice here, this is the actual Vault backup YAML file that we are going to run. It has a config map, and you can see the config map is just typical Vault agent configuration. And what this is doing, it's going to inject a container inside of the cron job that's running that is going to in this path inside of the container, or the volume of the container, it's going to drop in the secrets, the credentials, the AWS credentials, as you can see here. It's grabbing the S3 credentials from the path that we just put it in right now. So as the container runs, it will authenticate into Vault, and you can see the cron job right here. It is going to use the agent inject as true. It will run this config map that we just specified, which is right here, and it will use the volume, the secret volume path, home app user.aws. And I go into a lot more details, of course, in the Vault 201 course. And you can see here the Vault, the service account name is Vault, and the environment variables you can see is the Vault address that we are configuring, and this is really the Vault active service, the Vault namespace, then the typical service cluster local 8200. So if you want to see that, let's run kubectl get all. Actually, let's go into the Vault namespace first, run that, and you can see here the Vault active service right here is the Vault active service under the Vault namespace, and so on. Now the second environment variable is the S3 bucket. What's the bucket name for S3? Now this is very important. You need to update this to your specific bucket. So before we run the cron job, let's go ahead and create this bucket actually in S3. So you can do this through the CLI, or you can do this through the UI. So let's do it through the UI, the console here. We can grab the URL and open a new console right here. And I need my username and password. Let's see, no, this is my username and this is my password. And let's sign in. And once we sign in, we are going to go over to S3 and create a new bucket. Let's make this a bit bigger as well. So let's create a bucket. And we'll give it the name, oops, that is not the right one. Let's go back and give it this name here, the Tech8 Vault Backup Demo. Now I had to delete this, so let's hope that it is, that it is available now. So this is done. Let's create the bucket. Oh, perfect. It's successful. All right. So we are good here. Now let's go back to our README file. And now we're going to deploy or apply the backup Kubernetes manifest. Okay. So let's go ahead and write kubectl apply that got applied. Let's run kubectl get all. I can see my cron job here. By the way, the cron job just for the demo is running on a schedule of every 1 minute. Of course, you're going to change that. And once again, the way to change that is if you go back to the manifest here and the cron job, you can change the schedule here. So I had it every day at 7 o'clock in the morning for backups. And it's worth noting here that this is a snapshot in time. By no means is this supposed to be your backup strategy for Vault in production. If you're serious about Vault and your secrets management, then you definitely need to take a look at Vault Enterprise, because then you get disaster recovery and you get performance replication. So you have instant replication of all your data, whereas a snapshot, again, is a snapshot in time, and it's only as good as how frequent you're taking those snapshots. So it's good as a last resort to always have snapshots, but definitely you need to have some disaster recovery and performance replication. I do get into the details of disaster recovery and performance replications in my Vault 101 course, so you can go and take a look at that. All right, so now that we've installed here, let's run. We've installed the backup script. Let's see if it ran. I see. I think it's still running right now, so let's give it a minute. And let's run KJA again. Okay, I see a completion of 1 for the cron job. Let's go over to our bucket, and inside here, yep, sure enough, we have 1 snapshot here, 24.7 kilobytes. So that looks very good. All right, so what are we going to do next? What we want to do now is restore the snapshot. So this is going to continue to run every minute and take a snapshot and send it to the S3 bucket. But now let's see if we can restore from this particular backup. Okay, so to do that, first of all, we need to destroy the entire Vault cluster. So we can do that by running kubectl delete namespace Vault. So let's go ahead and do that. So that will destroy the entire namespace Vault with everything in it. And once that's done, you may have to manually kill the process that is port forwarding port 8200. We'll just give it a minute here and see what happens. So it looks like it might have gotten deleted by itself. Just to make sure, let's search for this process. And sure enough, it got deleted by itself. It got killed by itself. Very good. All right. So now we need to restore Vault from backup, right? So if I go here and I refresh, we should see no Vault cluster. Nothing should be running because we deleted and destroyed our Vault cluster. Okay. So it's taking too long. Let's run kubectl get all Kubernetes. There's not even any Vault namespace. We just deleted it, so that's that. So this is just going to time out. Okay, so let's go ahead and recover or recreate the cluster, and we can use this script. So I'm going to run it right now and show you what it does. So this script here is the start Vault for recovery. It's very similar to the start Vault script, but it stops right after the unseal, right? So it's not going to go ahead and create any Kubernetes authentication method or enable a secrets engine or anything like that. It's just going to stop at the operator unseal command. So once again, it will create the namespace Vault. It will install the Helm chart and get Vault Raft running and get everything ready for us. And it will write the seal keys or unseal keys and the root token to the temp vault keys JSON file. That's why we took a copy of the old seal keys or unseal keys in this file that we're going to use as we recover the cluster. So bear with me here. This takes about a minute for this to come up and get going. And as you can see, Vault is not running here as well, so let's close that for now. All right, so it seems like we have something running. Let's open in the browser right here. Vault is coming up. Just give it a minute. Here we go. Okay, so that looks great. And now we need to grab the copy of the backup file, right? So we got to get that from the AWS S3 bucket. So let's copy this command, and again, to make my life easier, I am going to sort of put it here, and I need my bucket name, which is actually this one here. And let's refresh this. We might actually have another snapshot. There we go, because we are backing up every minute. So let's grab that and put it in here. So it should be our bucket name slash our backup file .snap. So let's put our file here. We'll just grab the latest one right here. I believe this is the latest one, right? Yeah. And let's put it here. And let's grab that, and this will just get us the file, and it's right here. It got downloaded. I also have that in the .ignore file. We don't want to send that to Git, right? So that is good. We got that through. And now what we need to do is, first of all, I'd like to just verify the new Vault cluster that, it doesn't have anything in it yet. So to do that, I just need to grab my my token. So if I go ahead and do this, this will give me my Vault token. I will echo that out to the terminal to see it. And there it is. Let's copy that. Let's go in here. And this is once again the root token that we're logging in with. And this is the new root token for the new Vault cluster that we just spun up. As you can see, there's no secrets engines here. Access, there's no authentication method, Kubernetes authentication method. Very good. So now what we need to do is restore from backup. So we got the backup file. And now all we need to do is grab the run this command. So let me just clear this up here. This needs to be run here, and I'll clean the repo at the end. I'm just making it easier for myself. You could put this in a notepad file as well, but Here's the Vault Operator Raft Snapshot restore command that we're going to use to restore. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have now restored Vault. Now we'll need to unseal your Vault cluster again. If you go into Vault, you'll see that the Vault is sealed now, right? So we need to use the original unseal keys that we saved here, as I mentioned before. This is the unseal key that we're going to need to use. So we can do it this way. We can do it in here, or we could have done it from the CLI, whichever way. And now let's go and take a look at, let's just sign out. And we're going to need to sign in again with the root token, this one. Okay, sign in. And there you go. Look at that. We've got our secret engine here. It's restored, AWS. And we've got our credentials. The AWS credentials are back. If you go back to access, you see our Kubernetes authentication method right here is back. So everything worked very well. We were able to run a cron job that automatically takes snapshots, backs up Vault that's running inside of Kubernetes. This is an OSS open source Vault, and also we saw how we were able to restore that and get everything back up and running, no issues. A couple of comments: the unseal keys and the root token, you got to be very careful where you store those, so store them in a place that is safe. And also the enterprise version of Vault has a built-in scheduler for taking snapshots that you can take advantage of. It should be straightforward. If you need support or help with that, drop me a message in the comment section of this video, letting me know if you need me to work on a video for the enterprise version. Otherwise, it's a simple API call that you can run, and that should create the snapshots for you, and you can send it to an S3 bucket or other mechanisms that are available as well, such as an Azure Blob or a Google storage container as well. So that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and learned a lot, and I will see you in another video.